Hello everyone, it's Steve Brown from VPS Securities, VPS Live. Today we have a very important guest from Lodgis Hospitality Group, Mr. Peter Meyer. Peter Meyer is recently elevated to the Vice Chair of Lodgis, based out of Singapore and with interest throughout Southeast Asia, from Vietnam, Cambodia, and also increasingly in Thailand. Peter, thank you very much for joining us on VPS Live.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you. Now, with Lodgis, recently we met in the Metropole in Hanoi, which is one of the world's most iconic historic hotels. You are Vice Chair of Lodgis. You've been CEO of Lodgis and also CEO of the Fusion Resorts Group. You've got a wealth of experience dating back since about 1990 in Southeast Asia, and Harvard MBA with M&A experience.
Don't hold that one against me.
No, no. And would you like to just, if we can, firstly a little bit of background to yourself to bring you to Singapore, to bring you to Lodgis, and then who is Lodgis to commence our interview?
Sure. Thanks, Stephen. Again, pleasure to have the opportunity to talk with you today. My story, love affair, if you will, around Asia began in 1990, and I wasn't necessarily somebody who was steeped in a background and had my eyes set on Wall Street, the New York one, and an opportunity came up to move out to Asia to work for a family office, and that's where it all began. And over the ensuing 30 years after the family office, I was with JP Morgan for a number of years, doing a combination of M&A, private equity, and then running their real estate and lodging practice, bouncing back and forth as bankers do between Singapore and Hong Kong. And then was in a private partnership in Japan, doing residential. We were the first sponsors of a foreign REIT, Japanese REIT. Got back into the hotel business with Host Hotels, establishing their regional investment business, and then had the opportunity to come to Lodgis in late 2016 when the investment platform was established.
Correct. If I can expand on that part,
yep.
That brought in Warburg Pincus, over 80 billion USD AUM. I think since about 1966, over 100 billion USD equivalent deployed throughout the world. And in Southeast Asia, it's Vietnam is a top 5 global asset area for the company with over 2 billion
yes.
invested.
Yep.
You've also got, with a local partner in the vehicle, one of the largest Vietnamese specialists, Vina Capital, involved, Don Lam and Brooke Taylor in particular. And then from WP side, Chip Kay and Jeffrey Perlman as president, and then yourself, basically helping run and work the business with the VinaCap experts.
Yes.
Now, can you basically therefore expand upon what is Lodgis?
Sure. And I think you bring up a good point. So in late 2016, what I would characterize as 2 pioneers, Warburg Pincus, which was really one of the early groups that developed the private equity platform and is among the largest now in the world, and Don Lam, co-founding Vina Capital, which in itself is a pioneer in the investment management business. They came together to form a what I would characterize as a hotel investment, operating, and development platform. And it was seeded with a couple of notable assets at the outset in late 2016. One is the Metropole Hotel, which you mentioned earlier in this interview. Other real estate properties, including a Fusion Cam. Fusion is a lifestyle brand that was organically developed here in Vietnam, as well as the Fusion operating business. And since then, since that point in time, we've acquired a number of and developed a number of properties, particularly in Vietnam, but did make a couple of strategic investments in Cambodia, in the 2 raffles there, which we invested in to bring them back to their former splendor and glory, and have built up a business enterprise value north of $1 billion, including but actually our largest investment, which is in Hotram, a integrated resort and casino about 2 some odd hours south of Saigon.
The Grand Hotram, and then also the Bluffs Hotram, Greg Norman design golf course precinct.
Yeah, that's part of the full resort, and obviously a key amenity for drawing not only gamers but MICE business and tourists to round out the flow of activity to the property.
Now, the Vietnam investment thesis, you've got those iconic assets. The investment thesis is getting a boost, particularly with the post-COVID recovery. Domestic travel numbers are getting back to where they used to be pre-COVID.
Yes,
international inbound is recovering. India is picking up China's slack in numbers. And the Longtown International Airport, which is in good proximity for the Grand Hotram, just recently in a public announcement got approval for a US $1.8 billion loan package to bring forward and deliver phase 1 by late 2025 or so, which should help for further international air travel and gamers and golf aficionados.
The whole enchilada, as they say.
You've got it, yeah. So where do you see Vietnam positioned now, and where do you see it heading as far as regional rivals go to that type of destination, and then your iconic branded ones, Fusion?
Listen, when our shareholders first formed the enterprise, the platform, they recognized Vietnam's tremendous potential as a tourist destination, a view, not just talking my own book, but that I share. And I can go chapter and verse of all the reasons for that, whether it's a combination of interesting, diversified terrain, including mountains, valleys, over 3,000 kilometers of beachfront, a very distinct and interesting culture, great food, dare I say even the difficult and challenging war past is a draw for tourism. And I believe, I sincerely believe that, and I first started going to Thailand in 1990, and Vietnam has the potential to grow its business to the level of Siam, which during a normalized year of 2019, Thailand did 40 million visitors. We did that year 18 million. This year, based on assuming there's some shoe dropping in terms of a deleterious event, that I see basically Vietnam tracking back to that levels of 19 and beyond. So I think there's significant opportunity here. I think there's a recognition by the government from a policy perspective to allocate capital in the right place. And as you pointed out in your question, the investment in infrastructure is crucial to inbound tourism, starting with, of course, airports, but even the road system, which is allowing people to move around the country much more efficiently. So again, I think there's significant opportunity here, and that's why we are in this country investing significant capital.
Now, investment challenges. Post-COVID, we've touched on, lessons learned, hotspots that you think the government and your company can focus on, such as I mentioned before, increased Indian inbound tourism campaigns, promotions, Fijian Indian iconic golfers, Vijay Singh and all of that.
Yes, sir.
Your team, no doubt, looking at what Vietjet's doing, bringing in the Indians. Do you have any advice to your fellow tourism operators who are bringing in the patrons?
No, I think, look, at the end of the day, it's a product of airlift, especially when you're looking at the inbound. So, of course, the activities that Vietjet is undertaking to tap important population centers in India is more than helpful. Of course, the industry needs to develop, so you need to be able to adapt your product to individual cultural needs of these different people coming in. So there will need to be training. So I think development around more advanced hotel programs, but also the various operators need to do their part to train up the people to understand the individual needs of a more diversified tourist base. So those would be a couple of things.
Yep. And global branding joint ventures. You do JVs with local experts like Vinicap. Do you see your company getting into further global JVs with co-investors who might come
for sure
want to buy in as into
the remember we have
investment?
our own brand.
Yes.
Fusion, the lifestyle brand, is the main product. And when we're looking at opportunities, we recognize there are different horses for different courses. Of course, if our brand makes sense, then we would look because it feeds our brand franchise. But then again, not everything fits. Of course, the Metropole is managed by Accor as the Sofitel Legends, though the Metropole moniker is the real draw. Raffles in Cambodia is another example of using third-party operators. We recognize that the management business is a scale business. So to the extent that there are partners, some of the largest is really an oligopoly in terms of the big brands. But to the extent that we can team up for distribution and all of that with a third party, we would certainly explore it. I wouldn't close the door to healthy, open dialogue.
You've done that with the Grand Hotram, haven't you? You use a couple of partners there, the Holiday Inn, and then that's on one phase?
Yeah, well, in that case, though, they're actually franchises.
Yes,
so we're managing it. They are franchises. It's a good point. So we recognized for those two properties to have an international operator with global reach and distribution channels makes sense. And also trying to tap MICE business, so turning to Intercon or IHG to assist us in that regard, given the very significant and high quality meeting and banquet and function spaces that we have.
Yeah, and so if we can just focus on a couple of examples, which of your properties represent, in your view, some of the outstanding growth potential properties or brands? Obviously, you would be favouring all of them.
Sure,
some more than others.
Glad you qualified it that way.
Yeah, perhaps you might want to approach the answer, say, well, for Hotel Metropole Hanoi, we think there's potential in MICE or
sure,
and then with the
Look, I think that if I was to listen, they're all our children, and even the third-party properties we manage. Of course, we always strive to optimize the performance of any of the assets. If I was to look at the properties that I think they all have great potential, given what I was saying around tourism growth in the country. But three that I'd like to highlight. One would, of course, be the Metropole. We just finished a major renovation of the Heritage Wing. We will be at some point undertaking a CapEx program around the Opera Wing. We've seen significant rate growth, and we're on track to delivering EBITDA levels in that property matching 2019 this year. We think there's great potential. I think, as you pointed out, it's a classic, if I may, French colonial property, and it's effectively a museum and a hotel all in one. So we think that one, and with unparalleled F&B in the marketplace. So we think that has great potential. The other property that I believe I should give a shout out to would be Hotram. We came in and on an operating basis, it was at best a break-even resort. Off the back of driving casino activity on the floor and building our transient business. Now we got a little bit of a tailwind from COVID, which I think made the local market recognize something that's a couple hours away, but now we're in the 25 to $30 million range in EBITDA over the course of the 4 years since we acquired it. And of course, in the middle, we had something known as COVID, which I think a few people have heard of. So we think there's significant value there, and we're sitting on top of 35 some odd hectares of development land to continue to build that. We've invested in the property to really create what I consider to be one of the true all-in destinations with 1,100 keys and 2 towers, an additional condominium hotel and villas. You pointed out our Greg Norman, the Shark golf course, which, without talking my own book, is certainly up there as one or two of the best golf courses in the country. And combining that now with 15 restaurants, a massive system of swimming pools, a theater running first run films, the whole thing. So that property we think has tremendous value, and we're going to continue to build the business as we develop the real estate.
I agree. I've been there. It's integrated. My children, they've enjoyed watching the free movies. It's like going to any major cinemas experience to enjoy the movies for the children. You got multiple pools.
Clean movies.
Yeah, for sure. Multiple pools, children friendly. Poolside DJ environment was great for the adults as well. And now you were talking about the infrastructure. The highway between Ho Chi Minh City down to Barrio Vung Tau towards Ho Tram is fantastic as well.
Yes, and that's a good point. Thanks for pointing that out. That'll shave at least 40 minutes off the trip. And that's one of the key things when we're tapping, which we're aggressively going after, regional gaming business, when you have gaming destinations that are very proximate to the airport, is overcoming that drive, and that will substantially reduce the driving time down to resorts. So that's very positive. And then the third property I'd like to, if I may, give a shout out to would be our Fusion Resort and Villas that we're nearly completing in Da Nang, sitting on 15 hectares, 5-star accommodations, full on. Really will be a flagship Fusion. And the villas are already in the rental pool, already in operation, in the distribution channels, with the 155 some odd key hotel tower opening in July. So we think that with a great beachfront location, we think that that's going to have tremendous potential as being one of the leading resorts in Da Nang, which is arguably the first tier beach resort destination in the country.
For sure. Now, if I may, I respect that you're a private company for this operation. Given the exponential growth you've enjoyed and experienced and helped manage, visions of possibility of potentially welcoming additional outside professional investors, co-investors?
Sure. Listen, we're always having an active dialogue with potential capital investors and partners, and we're certainly open to sensible ways to work with others. It's what we do. It's what our shareholders know and how they've been successful. So we're certainly open, and there are different dialogues going on right now, both to fortify the underlying property business as well as the operating business, as I alluded to earlier, is figuring out how we can get scale by working with others. We have an extremely well-entrenched brand here in Vietnam, but we're up against a pretty competitive marketplace, and so we are having and will have sensible ways to work with third parties, for sure, be it capital or strategically or tie-ups.
Very good. Peter Meyer, it's been a pleasure to have you on VPS Live, and we wish you every success with the Da Nang build and rollout of the new tower, and also with the Metropole recent refurb as well, which looks spectacular. And we hope that one day, if you do a capital raising or potential listing, it'll be on the Ho Chi Minh Stock Exchange,
Yes,
and
well,
it'll be
I know the first person to call.
It'll be the most iconic tourism and leisure sector stock trading on the Vietnam stock market.
Yeah.
So,
good. I mean, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to give you, tell you a little bit about our story and what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're quite excited about the prospects for the country and our business.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a unique interview, and you're really the iconic, largest investor in this sector in the nation, and you're the first to combine global expertise of Warburg Pincus with a relatively globally known local, such as Vinner Capital as well.
Yeah, I think that's, I think that was the formula, E equals MC squared formula that we were looking at in terms of bringing in world-class institutional private equity and marrying that with a party who understands how to navigate the local terrain, which would be Vina and Don Lim, particularly in a market like Vietnam, which requires a little bit of elbow grease to figure it out. But the spoils make it all worthwhile.
For sure. Thank you so much, sir. And Steve Brown from VPS Securities, and have a good day.